everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and this is Darvanalee Design Studio, and today we're here for Slow Stitching Saturday. We're working on the Birdsville cushion, so let's get started. Everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while we get a little bit more done on the Birdsville cushion. As you can see, I've got the tree laid out at the moment, but I need to start working on some of these flowers and everything and the birds and whatnot. So I've still got to cut out some more leaves, but I want to cut out the garden stuff down the bottom as well as the circles for the tree, because I'm not 100% sure if I've got enough wool. Now I do have enough red because I did find some wool felt in my stash, and I do apologize for the view today, but I need to work here to have a bit more room. I did find some red over dyed wool in my stash, so if worst comes to worst, I can add this this one here, which is more solid like the rest of the felt here, and it's pretty close to that color. So worst case scenario, I can add some of them in if I need to. I was also thinking maybe adding a bit of orange instead of that bright green, but you know, a bit late now. But anyway, so yeah, so basically I've got a bit of that. So if don't have enough, I'm going to end up with a little bit more red in. Now I still have a fair few green ones to do, and I still have the lime green ones to add in, but I'm on my last red one, so that's why I'm a little bit concerned. So I thought today what I would do is cut out some of these circles and do a little bit, and we'll change camera view again when I start to do a little bit of embroidery on them. But I've read the instructions, and it's basically saying to trace out the circles, and then there's smaller circles on top of those, and then there's even smaller ones again. Yeah, so we've got essentially we've got 3 pieces of felt on this. So we've got the back, a large circle, a circle that sits on top of the large one, which is about half an inch in, and then we've got a little one that sits in amongst that. So that's what they look like. That's a little close-up, and you'll get a better close-up in a moment. But yeah, so I've got to cut those out, and I need 16 of them. So I'm just tracing out some circles so I can do a couple at a time, and then we're going to put some embroidery on them. I'm not sure whether we'll get them down on the tree today. Like the bottom part of my tree is all done, all the leaves are on. I've got a couple more leaves to sew on that particular one, but I'm thinking that I might end up getting at least the bottom 3 on the tree finished today, and we can get them onto the tree. So that is the plan. So yeah, we've got all these larger circles there. I'm a little bit confused because from what I can see, or is that embroidery? No, it's definitely, like, I can't, there's no other picture to show me from what I can see in here, which is a little bit concerning. Like everything looks like it's just got the second piece of felt on it, but then this one here is the only one that looks like, you know, you cut around the felt and then you put a piece on, and then you've got a little embroidered flower in the center of that with but the other ones over here for the tree, they just look like they've got 2 pieces of felt. But when you look at the picture, it looks like it's got 3 pieces of felt. So I'm super confused at this point. There's no other information about it except for the trace out sheets. So I'm just a little bit confused at the moment. So see, even on the back here where it's telling you like to put running stitch and stuff, like it's only indicating that there's 2 pieces of felt. So to make sure that I'm not wrecking my little cushion here, I mean, it won't matter, but I'm just thinking that I need to have 3, like you can see down here in the bottom one, there's 3 pieces of felt definitely on that one. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I can always put a button in the center of them as well. Like I don't have to do it exactly the same way, but yeah. And this is like, it's just showing me that it's got like a spiral. So I'll show you the trace out design. So this is what that's telling my stitch guide, and it's just got a spiral. So unless she's using like a thicker thread in there to do that. So I think what I'll do is I will cut as it is here, and then I'll just do the spiral in there. So that could be a running stitch that really spirals in on itself, and it's got some French knots on that, on the smaller one. So or colonial knots, I think she calls them, she's used. So yeah, so basically I'm just getting my freezer paper. For those that don't know what wool felt applique is, we've done a couple of these videos, so I'll link them up down below. But basically I'm using the freezer paper method, and I'm just tracing the circles on the dull side of the paper, and the shiny side we will iron onto our on top of our wool felt, and then that way it'll just stick on and it'll make it easier to cut out. And I've been doing this for a little while, although I haven't worked on this one for some time, so I'm really happy that it is spun up today, and yeah, we can add that in to the repertoire. So I'm just going to basically cut all these large circles out. I need so that is 12. I need 18, I think I counted. Let me just count that again for the tree. 16. So I've got another lot, and because I basically want to make sure that I've got enough felt and everything like that, because I am going down to Brisbane in the next couple of weeks. So if I don't have enough felt, I might be able to just pop into Just Patchwork where this came from. Hopefully they'll be open and not away at craft stores and all that sort of stuff. I'm not exactly sure if they've got a physical address, but I will check that out. So what's that? 3, 12, 15, one more, and I think I will go a smaller one. You can always change that if that's the case. And then basically I need to trace out the little ones inside each one. So yeah, so I will just fill out the rest of the paper with the smaller circles. And from what I've read, the smaller circles on the inside need to be at least ½ an inch in from the edge of the outer circles. So I don't really need to keep a track of everything that I'm doing. So normally I wouldn't film the like the prep and stuff like that, but I thought, well, I've got the camera there, I've got this all cleared off and ready to go. I might as well turn the camera on so you can see some of the process of the behind the scenes sort of stuff of what happens, what I need to prep before I sit down here, where we've got a real good close-up, and just talk you through what I'm doing. So yeah, so I just need to trace out 16 of these different size circles, and then I can start cutting out. So how has everybody been? I know it's a weekend again. It's come around so quickly. This weekend I'm planning on just heading over to the markets. In fact, while you're watching this video right now, I'm at the markets, and I'm going over to get some books and whatnot from a guy over there for $2. So I'm going to get some more Danielle Steele books because I want to read her entire catalogue over the next couple of years or whatever. And even if I don't get to them, at least then I've got them. So I'm just filling in the space, and yeah, of all the freezer paper. But yeah, other than that, I've got a pretty relaxing weekend. I'm going to get some more stitches in, and hopefully get closer to some finishes and stuff like that for the weekend. We've got our bingo, stitching bingo roll and sewing bingo roll tomorrow that will come roll, and I'll be able to work on my bingo prompt. And yeah, I'll probably put a few stitches into this as well during the week. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and one more makes 16. And then we'll cut these out. So yes, as you can tell, it's very cold while I'm filming this. I am in my jumper that I wear when I'm cutting out and all the rest of it in the, because otherwise all my clothes get wrecked. They get all peeling on them from all the fluff and all that sort of stuff. So I have a specific work jumper that and this is it. And it just keeps me a bit toasty warm. It's actually one of Brendan's old jumpers from when he worked out at the mine, so they're really good quality jumpers. And he doesn't like wearing jumpers though. He prefers to wear like zip jackets and whatnot. So yeah, he gave it to me and I'm like, I'll take that. And I've got a scarf on as well. I do have an hoodie, but I don't want to be out and I don't want to wear it while I'm in the sewing room because I don't want it to get fluff all over it. So yeah, so it is a bit chilly in old Kingaroy today, but it'll warm up, I'm sure. I've got the heater on. I'm sure you can hear that every now and again. It sounds like a steam train goes because it's working pretty hard today. So basically what we're doing is we're just cutting around the shapes. We're not cutting on the line because we're going to put this onto the wool felt and then we'll cut around that line. And you get as close as you can. Like, you don't have to have it like a big piece, but you're just going to get as close as you can so you can use that. And obviously you want to save any of your pieces of freezer paper because you'll be able to use that for the smaller parts if you're making this one as well. This is not really a tutorial as such, it's more of a whip and chat. So yeah, if you've not been here before, I have a wheel that I have all of my slow stitching stuff. So for me, slow stitching is anything where I'm doing it by hand and the sewing machine is not involved in the major construction of it. So yeah, so that's sort of what I class as slow stitching. And there's my bin. And basically I have everything on a wheel and I spin that up, and then that's what I'll work on the following week. Nerali's working today, so I don't have to do any driving lessons or anything like that today. So it is off to the market and do a little bit of this and that around the house, and then basically do a little bit of reading, a little bit of stitching, a little bit of embroidery, whatever takes my fancy for the rest of the weekend, and just try and relax. I have a pretty hectic week during the week, so that's not always a great thing, but I do get a lot done. And that's all that matters, right? I get my stuff that I need to get done. All right, so as you can see, it's a lot of cutting and all that sort of stuff. Once we've got all of the circles cut out, then we'll place them onto the felt, and then we'll cut the felt out. I'll swap up scissors and then cut that out. And then I need to get another little container so I don't lose all my little felt bits. Now, where did I have them? Where did I put them? I got some little snap containers, and I'll just go and grab them after I'm finished cutting these out, and then that way I can put my little felt circles, because I'm not going to get to all of them today, but we're just going to do a lot of the prep today. So after I stop filming, obviously we'll see. I will get more prep done, and I've also got a large project that I'm doing over on the Patreon channel as well, so I want to get some more prep done on that as well. Not necessarily today, but at least in this coming week, because I will start to film for that. So just bear with me for a second. I will go and grab these containers before I start cutting the felt. All right, these are the little containers that I got. I got these from Kmart. They were like $2.50. and they've got the little snaps on the side. So I thought that these would be good to use for this project, to, you know, to put the leaves in, because at the moment I've got everything sitting in this. So I thought I could put all the circles in this, and I do have another one that I can use if I need to, so for the leaves. But I'm going to try and get all of those leaves on in the next week. So yeah. All right, they are the large circles, so I'll sit them there. And I've just got to, oh, we've got one more large one. And then I've just got to cut out the small ones as well. So these are the centerpiece ones. Okay, so we've got all that cut out, and now what we need to do is iron this onto the felt. So I'm just going to use the picture as a guide for the colors. We have our small bits and pieces that we need, our small circles. So these are our centers. So I'm just going to set them off to the side. And then we've got our large centers, and then we've got all our wool felt that we need. So I'll just put this aside for now. And I'll just fold up this tree. I'll just get it out of the way. And then that way, whoop, that way, I've got stuff everywhere here. My whip list just went for a fly. But I'll bring the, yeah, so I've got that to use as my guide. And then I can basically start picking the colors. So we've got all of these rainbow colors. If you haven't seen them before, these are all the colors that came with the kit, and it also came with the backing and also this fabric that's got the leaves and the tree on there already. Now, as I said, I will leave a link down below. You can go back and check out the videos. There's a couple of videos there where we worked on this, where we started it and all that sort of stuff. So I will put them down below for you, and you can go and check those out. But yeah, so we'll just get stuck into making some of the trees. Now, the first ones that I want to cut are the ones that are along the bottom, because I definitely want to get them on today. So we need a blue, and then it's got, looks like a light blue, must be this blue here that is in the center. So we've got that real vibrant blue, and then this one, just pop that there, because there is no other blue except for that, or maybe they are the two, can't tell. No, it's definitely that. Yep, definitely that darker one. Although I like that combination. Yeah, I like that combination. I'm going to go with that one. So let's see how many we've got. We've got 2 of those, 3 large ones on the dark. So I want to put that one on. And they are quite, one's a medium. Let me just get all these smaller ones out, just put them into their piles. So that's a real large. That's a real large. That looks like some, no, that's a large one too. You've got these little ones, medium, medium, large, large, small, medium, and large. All right, so looks like we've got a couple of large ones and then one medium one in this blue. Now you will have a little bit of waste, but don't stress it, because the simple fact is that you will end up using all of this smaller stuff for the garden. And I just butt them up really closely. Like you can see, I've just kept a little bit on it. It's just going to make it a little bit more accurate, but we will be able to get little pieces of circles out of this. So I know where that's going to sit now. I'm just going to iron this on. The shiny side goes down, okay, and that will stick onto your felt, okay. And it'll just stick on there, so I can set that aside. All right, then I need some little centers for this one in this color combination. So I need 3 centers. Okay, let's get them up there. And it doesn't take long for it to stick on either, so you can see there it is definitely stuck on there. The next one is an orange and a yellow combination. So that is a medium, and then that needs a small circle for the yellow. I just definitely want to have these, actually we've got with the large one and an orange, and I think that's all we've got in there. Oh no, there's another orange there. No, that's a darker red, I think. Yep. Okay, so that's that one, and then we need small yellow, and then I need that. I need a little on the orange as well. I mean, this is going to be a little bit of a, because I'm just going off the picture, so it's a little bit difficult to see some of them, what the colours are, but we definitely need 1, 2, 3 little yellow ones on here. So let's get those on here. Okay, there we go, that's them on there. And we need a little orange one as well. So let me just go back here. And that light blue, I need a little one on that as well. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to continue doing that and get everything that we need. All right, so I'm just going to leave it at that point at the moment, because I don't want to be too overbearing with the same colors, because not all the colors are the same that are on there that I've got here. So once you've ironed them on, then you just want to grab your sharp scissors that you've got. I've got Kai scissors. I've got these Singer dressmaking scissors. I've got some what's his name? Robert Timms, I think his name is. Tim Holtz, sorry. Yeah, so basically, yeah, you just, any really good sharp pair of scissors, you want to make sure that they are sharp, because you need them to go through the paper and also the felt, and you don't want it to be a struggle, is what I'm trying to say. So make sure that they're sharp, and then that way you've got them going through, and it's nice and easy for you to cut them out. And so basically all I'm doing is just going around on that line to create my circle, although these are not perfect circles. They are a little bit, and then you can just peel that scrap off of the freezer paper. It just peels off, it doesn't stick permanently, so you're not wasting your felt. So next time you've got to cut some, you can get even closer again. You know, like there's not a lot of white centers. There's a couple of the flowers on this that I can see down the bottom, and there's a couple up top, but this is the white's mostly used for the bird's eyes. If I had my time over again with the leaves, I would have just traced the leaves with a chalk marker onto the felt, and then stitched on the felt rather than stitch in the little bits and pieces. It was still okay to do, it was very fiddly, I found. So I would definitely draw them out or something like that, and then cut on the inside of the line. Or if you used a friction pen, that would iron off anyway. So and then just make sure that you cut on that line. See, that one's a little bit far over, so I don't want to waste all that, so I can move it and just make sure that that line is really close to where I've cut. I put that a little bit too far away when I put it on, and you just iron it on again. It's not sticky as such, it just adheres to it temporarily, and it peels off really easy. And so if you need to readjust, you can. Alright, so I have picked out a heap of colours that I'm going to be using, and you can see here that we've got these are the 3 that I'm going to work on. Now, on closer inspection, it looks like that there's some French knots there, but I'm not 100% sure. So anyway, we're going to work it out. So I've got some white there. I'm just using my CXC threads. They're a little bit thicker, so they stand out a little bit more. And they're perfect for this sort of thing. So I used a little bit of basted glue, Roxanne's basted glue, just to hold the centerpieces in to make it a little bit easier. Now, we do have in the pattern, and let me just get it out for you, we do have a stitch guide. And these are the ones that are on the tree. So it says here that these are the flat cross stitch on it. Which is like a plus sign, and these are the flowers for the tree, the size, and also the stitch guide. So as you can see, there are swirls in the center, and that's what I was mistaking for extra felt. And then we've got like fly stitch, we've got some knots. I believe these are whip stitched down, but we do all the embroidery according to this. I'm pretty sure that that's what it said, was to do all the embroidery. Yes, do all the embroidery to make it easier, and then it's just whip stitching on, and then we'll do the knots once they're on. So I figured that I will just work on 3. We'll get some stitches down. So basically we've got some French knots to do, which are hard to do in hand. So I'll do the best that I can, I guess. I do struggle with them when they're in hand, but I may end up doing those French knots when I work on putting them on. So you probably can't see this. Let me just bring the camera up a little bit higher. If you're in the Patreon, you've seen this stand before. This is my 3-leg stand. It's got a flat base on it, and it means that I can get my hand underneath and do the the knots and everything like that, and it keeps my hands free and I don't have to hold the hoop. So this is the section that we're going to be working on. So I've put that in. I can also do the whip stitch and everything from this point of view as well, although I have been working this one in hand. So basically I've got that there and ready to go. So I'm thinking that the French knots, or the colonial knots, I believe they are a much of muchness really. Let me just bring this camera back down again. I do apologize for all the movement, but we want to get a close look at it, right? Okay, so yeah, so what I figured I'd do is I will do the whip stitch, I will do the fly stitch in hand, and then do the crosses as well. And then when I get to putting the pieces onto the tree, I'll do the French knots then. Because then I've got my hands free. I don't have to try and do it in my hand, because like that's just not going to happen. Because I can tell you right now, I don't do well with that. Alright, so I picked out some floss as well, which is good. We've got that. I'm just going to leave my stitch guide off to the side so it's not taking up too much room. As I said, I'm just going to embroider with you today these ones, and then I'll probably do a few. I've got circles cut and I've got them in the little container, and I can just do them while I'm sitting there watching TV talking to Brendan at night. So yeah, so I figured I'd do these today because it doesn't take a lot to do them. We've just got basically you've just got basic stitches, so a long stitch, a cross stitch, a fly stitch, and a basic whip stitch. So that's not gonna be too bad at all. Or is it a blanket stitch? I don't know, it doesn't say what it is. I'm pretty sure it's a whip stitch. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so I'm going to start with the blue one. I've got my needles here, and I'll just keep that there for a second, stop that from moving. I've got my needle threader because I need a needle threader with the CXC because it's a little bit thicker and it just saves a lot of time. So I'm just going to move my needle and stuff over there. I'll move these out of the way altogether. All right, let's start with the blue ones. So I picked out the colors like a royal blue that looks like it's on there. Now, like on closer inspection, that actually looks like it's white that she's got under there, but I've gone with the blue because I don't have enough white. to put on there, and then I thought I'd use this green in the center because it goes really nice with that. And then for the light blue, which is the crosses on this particular one, I'm going to use this like lavender sort of color because it went really nice. I thought that color combination was okay because at this point it's so colorful, it's not going to make any difference at all. All right, so let me see what I'm doing for this one. Is a big one, so I am doing I am doing a cross stitch on this one, just following. So I need light blue for that, and see it also has light blue or green. I wish you didn't tell me the colors. Like, I guess you can just go with anything at the end of the day. Yeah, there's green. The dots that are closest to the center circle are green, and this is light blue, and then there's green in the center, and then there's the royal blue which goes over the centerpiece and also around it. All right, let's fire up this. I'm going to use 2 strands. So once you've got your little circle and you've got your thread, we're going to do some cross stitches. And so the cross stitch is not an X as such, so it actually, you come down quite a ways and then you're going right up to the edge without going off, and then you're doing a little crossbar. Okay, so it looks like a plus sign as opposed to a cross stitch, so it looks like that. And so yeah, you just go all the way around doing that, and you just come in a little ways from there, but you don't want to go all the way down here either, so you want to leave enough room to put your French knots in there. And they don't have to be perfect either, because that's what adds the charm to this to the little flower. So as you can see, that's what we need to do all the way around. And as I said, it's going to be a lot easier to put those French knots on once I'm attaching this to the tree. And basically all we do is whip stitch it on, so it's not super hard to do. Yeah, so it's easy. It'll definitely be easier to do this sort of like this work in your hand as opposed to doing it on the while it's on the tree. And a last one, and then I'll just weave this through on the back. Probably a little bit close, but I don't really mind. So we'll weave this through on the back. I'll come back. All right, let's trim that off and thread our needle, because the next color we need is this royal blue color. Okay, so we have a little circle in the center there which is going to get covered, so I'm just going to draw a circle lightly with my lead pencil. And that's just going to be a guideline for me, so I'm just going to come up. This is off the edge, so we're actually whip stitching with a long stitch. Okay, and that's going to hold it down, so we're going to be fairly close to each one. And we're going to go around that circle.
So you can see there, and then of course we've got our French knots that will go on there as well, so that will fill in a bit of the space. And when you are attaching your little center circles, just use a tiny little dot of either fabric glue or the Roxanne Basic glue is pretty good. I always enjoy working with that because I know that it works and it holds, and I can leave stuff attached with that for such a long time. And I've had blocks that I've had stuck like applique blocks that I've had stuck down, and that has lasted like almost 12 months of it just sitting up on a wall with it. So, and it had been handled and stuff like that. So you're just basically going all the way around, and this is like a really long whip stitch because you're coming up underneath, you're coming up right on the edge of this circle, or more like an oval than a circle really. All right, I'm just going to thread that through and then rethread my needle because this was already cut, so I'm going to use that. So I've come up really close to it. In some spots I've gone a little bit wider. I think I prefer it closer than a little bit wider, but I'm not going to worry about unpicking that. Just, you know, it's a flower, it's whimsical, so my plan for the rest of the day is to finish doing these, even if I don't do them all on camera. But my plan is to finish these off, and ow, I keep stabbing myself. This needle is sharp. Yeah, to finish them off and get them onto the tree today, and then continue during the week working on the rest of them. And then that way they'll get nice and finished. It's very cute. And once the little French knots are around the outside, it's going to look really good. All right, so what we might do now is we'll cut to work out what we're going to be working on, and when we come back we'll have a little bit of talk about what I'm going to work on next week. Okay, so we've got our wheel and it's ready to go. We've got everything on there, including the Birdsville cushion, because it's still a whip. So let's spin it and see what we're going to work on next week. Ooh, a new Sashiko start. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so we are spun up 4 seasons. So this is another one that I got from the quilt show. This is by qhtextiles.com. And yeah, so it's got all the, it comes in, I took it out of the packet before I came back on camera because I didn't want you to have to listen to the rustling, but it comes with all the instructions on how to do it. And you've seen Sashiko on the channel before, but that is what it's going to look like. So we've got it says 4 seasons in the center, and then we've just got all, like, we've got a squirrel and a bunny and a bear and the sun, there's a dragonfly, there's a bee. There's lots of little bits and pieces on there. So this particular one, I am thinking that I'm going to do this in a navy blue this time, because this is actually for my wall. This is not for that quilt that I'm going to do. So yeah, that is the information for you to go and check out their website. As I said, it's qhtextiles.com. Okay, if you need to email them, it's info@qhtextiles.com. All right, so that's that. And let's have a look at a little closer look at this and what it looks like. This linen is absolutely beautiful, and this is in like a calico color, so that's why I'm going to go with the navy blue on this one. I mean, I could do anything. I could even do a variegated if I wanted to, but the seasons are mixed up. They're not in any, oh, they sort of are actually. That's sort of your spring, there's your summer, this is your autumn, and this is your winter down here. So Yes, but I'm going to do it in navy blue. I could go and do all different sorts of colors and use embroidery thread if I wanted to, but I just want to keep it simple, Sashiko style. So I'm going to go with the dark blue on this one. I do have stock here of different colors, so there are greens and stuff like that I could possibly do, and I have a couple of variegateds as well, but yeah, I think I just want it to be navy blue for this particular one. And I love the fabric, is absolutely beautiful. Like, it's a really nice thick fabric, and this one I will definitely do the outside. This is actually going into a frame, so I'll give this a really good press, and we'll be ready to go next week. So we're going to have some more Sashiko and a new start as well, so I'm super excited about that. All right, let's get back into doing some more stitching on this, and then we'll attach this one to the where was I stitching? There it is, over here. We'll attach this one to the tree, and then we will call it a day, I think, for filming, because otherwise you're going to be here all day. But yes, I think that I like them a little bit as I was saying before, I do like them a bit closer. So, but I'm not going to change that now, but I'll know when I'm doing the other ones with this stitch, just to have it come a little bit closer to one another. And yeah, I like that look a bit better. But, you know, I've never done something like this before, so it's all a little bit of trial and error for me, and I'm happy to experiment, you know, and plod along with it, and just, you know, get it to be as neat as possible and whatnot, but, you know, learn some stuff along the way, you know, just experiment a little bit and see what I like, because, you know, it's nothing stopping me from making another one of these cushions, and this is one that I can just experiment on and play around with, and, you know, I can bring different colorways into the next one and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but this is good because I'm learning that I like them closer, like aesthetically pleasing to my eye. I like them closer together, whereas other people might like them a little bit further apart. And the only way to do that is to just, yeah, experiment, isn't it, really? All right, we are back around here, and then what I'm going to do is put this last one in, and then weave that around in the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my threads out of the way, pop this up here for a second. Oh, I've got to put some green in this as a spiral in the center. So let me, actually I might do that on the tree. All right, so this is the one I'm doing, so I'll just move this out of the way. Okay, so I've reset the hoop up, and it's not, I don't have enough for this particular size hoop, so to hold it completely in there. So I've tightened it everywhere else, and I've just placed it on there. Basically, I'm just going to use this dark thread that I used here to stitch it down, and we're going to do a whip stitch for that. So let me just get this threaded, and then we will be doing some French knot. So I just want to get it secured in place first. Okay, we've knotted that up, and then all we do to do the whip stitch is we just come up right beside it and then go down, and we're just going to do that all the way around. And that's just going to secure it in place. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a big stitch either, it can just be a tiny little one, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and hopefully you can see that pretty clearly. Okay, now my thread was just that little bit too short, so that's okay because we've got the French knots to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. I'll pause the video, flip it over, and just weave that thread, and then I'll start a new thread, and then we'll start doing some French knots. Okay, so we have rethreaded our needle, and we've just got to close this last little bit up, and then I'm just going to continue around doing the French knots. So you can see here we've got French knots all the way around, and then when I do the green, I'll do those French knots when I load the needle up for the green, and we have one little lone blue dot in the center, so I'll do that as well. So it'd probably take you, I'd say, 45 minutes to create each of your circles. Put the embroidery on, and then to also stitch it down. So it's going to take a little while to do that. All right, so just looking at the picture, they are just on the edge, and she's used colonial knots, but she says they're colonial knots, which they sit a little bit higher, and they're usually done in a figure eight as opposed to wrapping. So it's been a while since I've done one, but I prefer just to use French knots, and I just wrap it 3 times, and it will give me the same sort of look as a colonial knot anyway, and I'm more comfortable doing that. And these are relatively close together, probably about 1/8 of an inch apart, so they're not super close, but you can see on hers, like, they're not perfect. She's just got them going around. Some are closer than others, so this one here you can see is a little bit closer than others, so it's very whimsical, okay, and that's what we're going for. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to keep them about 1/16 of an inch away from the actual circle itself, and I'm just going to go all the way around the circle. And you can see that one went a little bit close, but it doesn't matter, does it really? So for those that haven't done French knots before, your knot will be bigger if you wrap it more around. So because I want them to look like a colonial knot, I'm actually wrapping them 3 times. If I was doing a very delicate piece, I might only wrap it around once to do it, so I get a really tiny little dot. If I want it to be, say, an eye or something like that, I might do 2 strands. Wrap it around twice. Now these are, I'm using 2 strands to do this. A lot of embroidery will only use 1 strand for a French knot and wrap it around, and all you do is you take your thread that's coming up out of your fabric, and you put some tension on it. You come from this side, and then you go under, and you wrap it over once, twice, and 3 times, and then you're just holding the pressure on it, not super tight. You bring your needle down, and just beside where you've come out, you go in, and still holding pressure on it, some tension on that. We put it down, and then I keep holding, you can see I keep holding that tension, and then slide it down, and then I get a perfect little French knot. Okay, and you don't want to pull it too hard because you will pull the French knot through to the back of your fabric, and you don't want to go into the same hole that you've come out of because it'll pop down through as well. So you want to go 1 or 2 threads away from where you've come out, and then that will come, it will keep it nice and sturdy for you. So I'll show you that again. You come up. Okay, we put some tension on that, so I'm holding this in my index and thumb finger of my left hand. I've got it going towards the left. I come from the right with the needle and underneath, and I go 1, 2, 3, and then I slide that down my needle while holding tension on it, and then I'm coming 1 or 2 threads away from where I've come out, and I'm going down, still maintaining pressure on that thread, and then I do that. let it go. Okay, and I sometimes bring, depending on the thread that I'm working with, some threads are a little bit slipperier than others, so I'll actually hold it until I get it very close. I'll have that tension on that part that I was holding, all the way to when it pretty much I can't hold it anymore. Okay, but this CXC thread's quite grippy, so it doesn't, like, it's fluffy and it feels not, I call it grippy because it's not slippery. It's not like a silk or something like that where you've got to really control the thread when you're doing some French knots. That's just my experience. I mean, other people may not have had that experience, but yeah. So you can see that they are going pretty quickly. 2, 3, and you get into the rhythm of it, and you'll actually really enjoy doing them because they aren't that hard to do. It's just getting that rhythm and having that tension, and you can see that they're going to go all the way around. It's probably a little bit too far out, but I'm okay with that. I will have to load my needle up again. You don't want to work with a really long thread either, because you will start to get knots and all sorts of stuff happening, and that's no fun for anybody. But having it in a hoop where you can have 2 hands is really good. Now, if you've only got an embroidery hoop that doesn't have legs like mine, put it in a smaller hoop, and so your hands are free. I have found it really easy to put the hoop between my knees and just hold it with my knees, and then my hands are free. You know, it is a little bit problematic when you're working on a project this size, but I have done that in the past when I haven't had my stand with me, when I've been out and about, and I just put it between my knees and stitch it that way. I have never been able to master doing French knots or colonial knots in a hoop while with one hand. I've never been able to do it. They just don't look right. I prefer to have a freestanding hoop where I've got both my hands free. But as I said, I have been in a situation where I've needed to do a French knot, and so I actually just put it between my knees and went from there. Alright, so I'm just going to park this over here because this is getting a little bit short to wrap. And that's another thing, like, I find that I get a lot more wastage because you need to wrap it, and sometimes you've got to waste a little bit of thread. But I will secure that off on the back, and basically when I secure this one, I will do a little pin stitch underneath. I won't come all the way through, but I'll secure it right near the edge of this circle, and I'll do like a little pin stitch to secure it, and then that way I won't have it come undone. And right now, like, while I'm looking at it, this looks really puffy, but once those green knots go on there, that is going to make a big difference to how that is sitting. It's going to make it sit a little bit flat. Having the tension on the thread is very key. I find that really helps set you up for a good French knot. And also, if you're doing this and you find that you've spaced it out a little bit too far or whatever, you can always come through and do some smaller ones. So maybe only wrap twice and do some filling in, because it won't be as big then. And you can see there that once you get into the zen of them, you'll get really quick at it. And as I said, that tension when you're holding your thread, when you're first starting to do the knot and you're wrapping, that tension is really key. Holding on to that, not so tight that you can't slide it down your needle, and just letting it slide down, and just keeping your finger on that thread will make the experience a lot more enjoyable. Because I do know, like, when I've done things in the past, that is the one thing that a lot of people say. They just don't like French knots because they don't know how to do them, or they just don't work out or anything like that. All the things that people have problems with, like I do too. But it's taken me a long time to just be able to get that rhythm happening. And getting little tips and tricks along the way also really does help. like that tension one, I used to struggle with that. And a friend of mine said, you know, just hold it a little bit tighter, and then that way it won't slip out of your fingers, and you'll be fine. So, and that's what I do, and now I don't have a problem doing French knots. It looks very cute. Okay, what happened then was when I started the French knot, when I've gone too close to the hole that I came through, and it's sort of just wrecked, like split the thread underneath and caused a knot that I didn't want. So yeah, I've just pulled that through, and yeah, it started again. Okay, so that is the end of our blue French knots, but I am going to do the one in the center because I can work around that. So I'm just going to come up, wrap it 3 times, and then go back down through that felt, and then we've got our little dot in there. So I'm going to just park this over here, and as I said, I'll wait until I'm finished, and all I'm going to do is just do a little bit of a tack stitch underneath there, or a pin stitch, and that will hold that in place. So for all of those. All right, now where'd my green go? There it is. Let me take that blue away. Got a nice little bird's nest happening already. I'll sort all that out after I get off. Now again, remember, you don't want your thread too long, especially if you're new to doing French knots. Just keep it short. It's better to change your thread and thread your needle more often than end up with a big pile of mess happening with your thread. You know, keep getting knots and all that is what I mean when you get mess. Because that just becomes frustrating, and it will not help in your goal of getting a nice French knot. Okay, so now I'm going to do the French knots that are going around this one here. And again, I'm going to wrap them 3 times. And these ones are pretty close to each other as well, so if you find that you get a little bit of a loop onto the top of your French knot, just gently tug at your threads. It's just that your threads have become uneven, so just gently tug at your threads, not too hard, and that will definitely go down into the knot then. And it's just like, you just have to remember to keep slight tension on that thread that you're holding between on your left hand side. And if you're left-handed, you're doing everything opposite, so you'll probably have the tension on your right-hand side. It's the same principle. Okay, you just got to, the key to these knots is the tension. Okay, and just remembering how many times you wrap too, because sometimes I forget, not only wrap twice, and you can see that from a 3 to a 2 wrap will be significant. Like there'll be a big difference, a significant difference in them. Words today, people, words. And I find going down, like if you go down in the hole of where you've come up, what you'll end up doing is actually splitting your thread, and it'll become very frustrating because you won't get a neat knot either. Okay. So if you're left-handed, you're going to be bringing it up, and you're going to be holding the needle in your left hand. So then you're going to hold it, and then you're going to wrap it, and just remembering that I am not left-handed, and you're going to keep the tension on it okay, and you're going to go down and you're going to keep that tension and you're going to pull your needle through, keeping your tension, and see, you'll have a French knot the same way. Okay, so again, okay, you're going to hold your needle in your left hand, you're going to grab that thread, and then you're going to wrap it on. So you're going to come underneath. So you've got this thread here holding, if this is for the left-handed people, so if you you've got your needle in your left hand, okay, because that's your dominant hand, then you've got in your right hand, you'll be holding the thread and you're just going to put a little bit of tension, not too much, and then you're going to come over the top and come under that thread you've got tension on, and you're going to wrap that 3 times, okay, and then you're going to just keep that tension on there. You can tell I'm not left-handed because I have no control whatsoever. Keeping that tension, get your needle down, and then just keeping that tension, and then just bringing it in and holding that tension on that, and you can see you get a nice little French knot, okay? But because I am right hand, I will be holding the thread in my left hand. And my dominant, see, I have much more control over my needle then, so that felt very foreign to me then. But hopefully you were able to see how it was done, and that will make it a little bit easier for you. Just got to remember to keep the tension. That's all I can really say, is that tension is key. All right, so that is our first little flower down on the tree. I'm going to continue doing the rest, which we have an orange one's going to go there, and then we've got this pink one that's going to go there, and then that'll be our first 3 ones. So next time you see this, these will be on, and we'll probably have a few more leaves on and a few more not necessarily onto, these will be on, but not necessarily any more of the flowers on, but they will be embroidered. I'll get a few more done because, as I said, I'm going to cut them and have them all ready to go in that little container, and yeah, I'll just have them in the lounge room and I'll stitch them as I'm going at night. But that is it from me today. I hope that you have success with any French knots that you do in the future. I hope those tips and tricks were key for you. I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining me today, and if you've made it this far, leave a little flower emoji down in the comments, and also give me a thumbs up. And if you've yet to subscribe, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click all notifications, and then that way you won't miss out on any future posts. But as I said, that's it from me today. Have a great day, everybody. Happy crafting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.